What's up, people? Thank you as always for passing by the channel. Obviously yesterday was a complete fuck up if you were a British boxing fan. I know some people done split screens. Some of you lucky motherfuckers that have 2 screens at home done split screens, but even then I can't do split screens when I'm watching boxing, so I need to fully concentrate on one fight. But yesterday I think was the biggest cock up I've seen for years when it comes to British boxing. And it's not only I that thought that. You get some big names in America that would tweet and stuff like, what are they doing? You know, this is a fantastic night for British boxing, and you put them on at the same time. And the worst thing is, Warrington versus Frampton and Chisora versus White were literally 10 minutes apart. Because I remember I was getting tweets from people as Warrington-Frampton was going into round 11, 12. I remember seeing tweets like, Frampton needs to get a knockdown or a knockout. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And it just annoyed me. And that was happening whilst I think we were like round 6 or 7 in White versus Chisora, which was starting to heat up. So a complete cock up. And again, sorry, coffee, I've just woken up. Again, I think neither win. I think neither win because all the eyes would have been in Warrington versus Frampton if Chisora versus White wasn't going on. And look, let's be honest, Chisora versus White is going to get way more pay-per-view buys. If I was to estimate, I would say something like Chisora versus White would get about 550, and I'd say Frampton, Warrington, about half that. And if Chisora versus White wasn't on, I think Frampton, Warrington, don't get me wrong, I don't think it will take all the Chisora versus White money, but I think it'll get probably another 300,000. So I think they lost on 100,000 pay-per-view buys, I do. And if you times that by, 20 quid? 100,000 pay-per-view buys times 20 quid. That's the money they lost out on. It's incredible. It's incredible. Eddie Hearn is such a cocksucker. Incredible. All right, let's talk Warrington versus Frampton. Whew, just watched it. I'm so happy that I don't watch highlights of fights. I am a true boxing fan. I've got to watch the whole thing. And again, I said it, atmosphere would be through the roof. What did I say about atmosphere? What did I say in the lead up to this about the atmosphere? I said you're going to have 10,000 people from Northern Ireland. You're going to have 10,000 Leeds hooligans. Sorry to label them hooligans, but I think most of them are. I hope there wasn't any fights afterward. There might have been. It might have kicked off after. But I said the atmosphere between those two sets of fans is going to be incredible. And it was. It lived up to everything. It lived up to all the hype. It really did. I said that Warrington is just relentless. I said it. I said he's relentless. And although I picked Frampton, I was very much on the fence in this one because I said Warrington's work rate is just, you can't get sparring for that. You can't get sparring and say someone, okay, throw 100 punches around, please. No one does that in sparring. So there's no way you can prepare for that. You can prepare for Selby and you can prepare for Frampton. Although they're very good boxers, you can almost prepare for that because you can find good boxing and say, okay, that's the style of Selby. That you can't prepare for Warrington because there's not many out there that fight like that. It literally is relentless. And I think Frampton done well to get out of round 2. And I'm being serious. I'm not just trying to say this to take the piss. I think he done well. I thought he could have been stopped in round 2. It was only because he decided to bite on his gum shield, stand in the middle of the ring and trade, which saved him. There was a time when I thought, watching that fight, and it's weird because I obviously know the result, but watching the fight I was thinking, surely he's going to get knocked out. Honestly, it was that relentless from Warrington, and he's a nightmare. He is a nightmare. He'll beat Valdez, and I'm saying this now. He will beat Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez doesn't like that kind of work. Santa Cruz is a bit more ranger, so Santa Cruz could maybe use his range a bit more, and Gary Russell Jr. is as fast, but I think a bit more violent with his punches. So I think those two are tough fights for him. But Valdez, he could be a double world champion legitly before April 2019. We could have a double world champion on British soil, and I can't think of a fighter that has surprised me more. If you put in front of me a list of all the prospects 4 years ago, before they were sort of tight list, or before they were even considered world level, and you said, okay, talk about Warrington, I would have said, you know what, European level. I said, you know what, European level. I would have said, you know, I watched him against Kiko Martinez. He was okay, but European level. I am so wrong. I am so wrong. And I can't be more happy to be so wrong. And I'm not the only one who's so wrong. Eddie Hearn let him go. Remember this, Eddie Hearn let Warrington go 2 years ago. And I think Eddie Hearn thought, okay, you've got this crazy fan base, but are you really world level? Let him go 2 years ago. Obviously, there was a lot more going on behind the scenes, but nonetheless, he was signed to Matchroom. This kid here that sells out arenas and is now a legit world champion, like legit. We've had some world champions in the UK that, don't get me wrong, I've had titles, but I've never really looked at them as world champions. I kind of think of the likes of Terry Flanagan. I had a belt, but I never ever really looked at him as world elite or in the top 10 in his division even. Warrington is legit a top fighter in his division. Again, I only have Leo Santa Cruz and maybe Gary Russell Jr. above him. I think he's better than Valdez. I really do think he's better than Valdez. I remember the work that Scott Quigg gave Valdez, and Scott Quigg has that kind of relentless kind of pressure. Warrington has that times two. Warrington has that times two. There were spots, some good spots for Frampton. I thought that his boxing ability and skill did come through at stages. But I did say I don't think there's been that much improvement with Frampton since he joined Jamie Moore. Whereas a lot of people look at results, and I get that. You look at results and you say, okay, look, he won. I go a bit deeper than that. I look at the performance. And again, Jackson, who was Jackson? And I'm not just saying this in hindsight. Go and watch the video I did 4 or 5 days ago. I said this. I said, who was Jackson? I said, Nonito Donaire was 5 years past his prime. And I can't remember the other kid's name. Was it Horatio Garcia? I can't remember his name. But I haven't been uber impressed with his performances under Jamie Moore. I thought he was a lot better boxer under Shane McGuigan. Obviously, we all know what happened. So we had to leave Shane McGuigan. But I thought him and Shane McGuigan had almost like a brother relationship. And I just thought that he brought out the best in Frampton. I really did. So it's a shame what happened with those two, because I felt like Frampton was starting to become something a bit special under Shane McGuigan, but obviously all the stuff going on behind the scenes was affecting maybe his performances, especially the Leo Santa Cruz fight, the second one. But I haven't seen much improvement under Jamie Moore. And whereas Warrington is literally doing this, I think Frampton has almost kind of teetered off. So for me, I don't know what's going to be next for Frampton. Again, look, he's still a good name in division. He's still a guy that will put bums on seats, and there's still great fights out there for him. There is talk about maybe a rematch now with Scott Quigg. If Abner Mars loses to Gervonta Davis, will Abner Mars come back? That's a good fight. Will Frampton go up another division? I think he's too small, but there are options out there. I don't think he should call it quits at all. I still think there are good fights out there for him. He's only lost twice, and there's no shame. And I think it will be kind of told in years to come. There'll be no shame in losing to Warrington, because I think Warrington could go on to do special things. Again, if he does fight Valdez, and I think that's the fight they're talking about making, I think he beats Valdez. Valdez is a good boxer. I think we all know this. If you stand off and try and box Valdez, then look, Valdez will win. If you rush Valdez, he doesn't like that work. He doesn't like that work. And Warrington will rush you. I think we've seen it now with two very highly skilled boxers in Selby and Frampton. He will rush you. And no boxer out there likes this. And it's not just Frampton, no boxer. Look at Maidana and Floyd Mayweather. No boxer likes this. Look at Maidana and Broner. A boxer doesn't like to be rushed like this. Even look at, I know he cheated the cunt, but look at Margarito Cotto. No boxer likes a guy that literally just keeps on marching forward. And Warrington don't just march forward. He marches forward and throws like 100 punches around. He's a nightmare to fight. But well done to Frank Warren for putting on the show. It was a great show. He's arguably now put on two of the best shows this year. And you think of Wilder versus Fury, he was co-promoter in that. And now this one as well. So it's been a great year for BT Sports and Frank Warren. I think 2019 is going to get even bigger. I really do think that, whereas I still believe that Matchroom are here and Frank Warren is there. Can I say Frank Warren? Is it Frank Warren Promotions is there? I think he's catching him. I think the more and more he puts on these kind of shows, I think those boxers that are maybe have got like 1 or 2 fights left on their contract might not want to sign a new extension with Matchroom and say, okay, what can BT Sports and Frank Warren do for us? Well done. Good year for Frank Warren, and even better year for Josh Warrington.